Okay, in this video we're going to discuss about the arguments. We're going to discuss about the unpacking. We discussed about the modulus. So how we're going to just complete, starting from the arguments, we're going to define a function with the keyword. For example, I wanna what the first of all I just want to show you that what's the purpose of the arguments. So just for that reason I say that it's a keyword arguments, and they are defined as, for example, name is equal to Hassan, and I put it that what would be the action. Action is 8, and what was the item that was eaten, then I'll just take it as banana, and colon afterwards to complete the function. Printing the name, printing action, and printing item. So there you have to keep in mind there is no string. It will not be considered a string because we have given the string a name, so we're going to print that specific name. That obviously it's a variable, but it's not be considered as a string. So because we have already been stored as a string as well. So how are we going to use these arguments? The name, the action, and the item are the arguments. So how are we going to use it in and how the user we're going to find it? So for example, the keyword arguments, empty bracket, and the after running the program it will show that Hassan ate banana. So want to change the order of the arguments as well, and I want to limit the number of arguments as well. So I can do both of these things. So by doing so, keyword arguments, and putting it as name is equal to, for example, I want to name it as Dalal, and afterwards I'll name it as an action is equal to or drinking, for example, and the next would be item is equal to water, is drinking to be exact. So when I'm going to run the program, obviously it will show that yes, Talal is drinking water. So I'm going to run another program by just limiting the argument from 3 to 2. I'll just limit the argument from 3 to 2, and also changing it as is sleeping and in bed, for example. So after running the program it showed that yes, Hassan is sleeping in bed. It will consider as because the name would be now as the same as being defined in the function. And if wanna reorder as well, for example, I want to put it as item liver, and also I'll just remove it from here, and running it will go Hassan is drinking water. So I have changed the order, I have changed the arguments altogether, and also I've limited the number of arguments as well, so just to show you that how we can use the keyword the arguments in a function. And obviously keep in mind that printing is without any strings, so that's the main point we have to keep in mind in arguments when you want to change it. So I let you know about some of the other examples on arguments, so just stay with me. Thank you very much. So in this video we're going to discuss about how we can use the argument function and argument to be defined in a function so that it can be used for a number of results, because previously we have actually shown the list, and by giving so many arguments and the parameters in a list, what we have to define those parameters again and again in a program or the code in the function itself. But what we're going to avoid doing so again and again, we're going to actually just put in a one defined function and putting the parameter as such that may help us to get as many as results as possible by obviously by running a loop and obviously defining the code in that loop as well. So how are we going to help or use that? Let's see. If define the function at sum of the numbers, and we're going to define it as arg and closing it by colon, and I just print it as such. Print is equal to not printing, obviously I have to first of all define a loop. Total is equal to 0, okay, and for a in args, actually for a is in arguments, so colon, that would be total plus equal a, and it will be parent of parent total, okay. And when I'm going to do it, I'm going to say that I'll be adding the numbers and by, for example, I put in as 3 initially, and I'm going to run the function. It will show 3. So what a number, how many numbers I want to add? I want to add some other number, for example like 3 into 40, and then I'm going to add 40 into 45 and see that how the results will be shown for the user. So you see that it's 3 initially is the same as sum of the numbers 3, and it again has shown when it's run again the loop, and afterwards it has shown that we're going to add 3 plus the 40. It will going to show us that yes, it's 43, and in the next it would be showing that 3 as an original number and as a starting point, and afterwards it's 43, adding the two numbers in the second calling of the function. And when we have the third call of the function, by adding all the three numbers, the result would be 88. So that's how it will going to work. Instead of we have defined a star variable or parameter in a function. So star is important, or you can name any any parameter was to name instead of args. You can use it any, just for the sake of you can say for the sake of this code, I'll just letting it know that it's how many times you can use, because the arguments for the sum, you want to add the numbers are stored in the same argument in the same variable, and you can use it and as been displayed in this form. So it's just a bit of the information, that just getting an idea that you can add or you can store the information in a parameter by using just one star and afterwards just defining it, and you can use it for in a code. You can use it with this function by defining what you want to how you want to use this code, or how do you use this function later on by calling it as well. So you have to define obviously the loop as well. For example, I've given the example of summing the numbers, so that's how it can be it can be actually extracted. So I'll just going to end up. Let's see what we have all in the next chapters. Okay, thank you. Okay, in this section for arguments at the end, I just want to have one more example as far as the arguments are concerned, we're going to define, for example, I want to calculate the health index. So how are we going to apply the arguments in this health index? For example, if age is given, and also we have for example apples taken in a week, or and also there's we cigarettes smoked in a week or so. It's a weekly index, health weekly, just a weekly health index. Okay, so also we're going to put all the parameters in a fixed we're going to store it in a fixed variable in which is answer, and we're going to put a formula for that, that how we're going to use the above information that already been defined in a function with the name weekly health index. We're going to use it like this, that yes, it has to be 100 minus age plus multiply by apples taken into 3.5, and minus would be cigarette smoked, which is multiplied by 2, and what we're going to do it, that obviously it has been ended, I believe so. Okay, and it's cigarette smoke multiplied by 2, and now we're going to print that answer. Okay, so in calling the function, what we're going to do, we're going to call the function, and we have to call the function by defining all the codes within that function. If I'm going to call it that, it's what would be the I'll just store in the information is Hassan index. I want to calculate my index, storing it in a list. For example, the age is 33, apples taken 20, and a cigarette smoke nil. So I'll calculate the weekly health index. So that would be round about how we're going to take it. It's actually 32. I'll putting at 33 as my age. So that's not an issue. Weekly health index. So how we're going to calculate weekly health index is like that. It's been we're going to calculate it like this. Age is equal to weekly health index, and that would be like Hassan index that already has been placed as at the position 0 in the above list, and Hassan index placed at position 1, and Hassan index placed at position 2. So when I'm going to run this function, it will show around about an index of above 100, in between 100 to 200. So it's just an index showing that what would be the health position. So when I'm going to run it, obviously it's showing that there's an error. Let's see what's the error is all about. Yeah, I haven't put the colon afterwards. So when I'm going to run it again, yes, the index is 137. So 137 is the index, and that's how you can actually use the argument with the help of a list as well. Okay, so this is how you can use it. But in the next example, previously what I've discussed, that we can use star args. That means that you pack the arguments. You are packing the argument, and you are actually getting the sum of the numbers by packing all the data and storing it in a variable. So in the next example, what we're going to do, we're going to reverse the scenario. Instead of packing the argument, we're going to unpack the argument. So how are we going to do it? And let's see. I'm just going to show it in a bit. Okay, so what we have done in this example previously, as I said, I've run it showed me the index of the health index, that is a weekly health index, and now I've changed some of the inputs, but the 139 is the index. But right now, what it's doing, we have actually given a list, so it actually extracting the information of the given list. We have to type in lots of arguments. So to avoid actually typing in all the arguments, what we have done in one of the couple of the back examples, that we put in the star before before args, and what it did, that it put all the information in that given stack. So we just going to pack all the information, all the arguments in a one single argument, and it will run as such. And then in this way, we have all the arguments given when we're going to unpack it in a given single argument. So same would be the case, weekly health index, and I put it that way that it would be star and it would be Hassan index. Okay, so what would be the Hassan index? I'll run it like it is, and let's see what will be the result. So it's you've seen that yes, the result is the same 139, the same health index has been run by given so many arguments in a given by calling it the function. So it's quite a handy a bit of a thing to help you guys just to get the single result in a single command. So I'll show you how you can use some of the, it's all about the arguments, it's all about the unpacking. And now we're going to move ahead some of the more advanced issue for Python, running some of the well, actually real-time examples that may help you, and also help you better understanding how you can use all the concept that we have discussed so far about Python, and you can use it about, you can say, in a more flexible, in a more coherent way. So let's see, and I hope that you're going to keep watching. Thank you very much. Okay, in this video we're going to let you know about the dictionaries in Python, how we're going to create dictionaries. Normally when we say dictionaries in our normal language, we say that it is a book which contains definitions, and which contain words and also the various definitions. So it's a set of numerous words, a lot of words, and also with the respect of those words you have you can say pretty much of the definitions as well. So how are we going to define or create a dictionary in Python? Let me tell you what the, okay, sorry about that. So creating the what is now happening? Okay, it's now okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to create, for example, we want to create a dictionary of co-workers, and defining it in parentheses. That's the main point. You have to define the dictionary in parentheses. There's no square brackets, there is no define the dictionaries in braces. There's no parentheses, there's no brackets, or there's no square brackets. So what you have to do in the braces, you're just going to just put on the strings, put on the values, and put on the actually you can say put on the words and also the values to it. So excuse me, how are we going to create it? For example, Hassan semicolon is a writer, and when we say that comma, adding another co-worker, Sarah is very professional, and After that, it's co-workers, and you're going to define it that way, and we're going to print co-workers, and we print, for example, co-workers, and we want to have the information of Hassan, what's Hassan is all about. So it will going to let us know. So let me run this, and what will be the information displayed? The information displayed, yes, it contains an error. So how are we going to remove it? First of all, name co-workers is not defined. Okay, so you have put in the brackets, I think. Then we'll be going to run, put in the braces. No, it will not going to run. Let me have let me see that how it can be corrected. Let's see. Sorry, the mistake was that it was co-workers that needs to be placed in, so I believe that I'm going to place it, and I'm going to run it with n, not the Hassan is with n. So there was some of the grammatical mistakes, so it's absolutely right. So Hassan is a writer, Sarah is a professional, and in the end, the one and the current Hassan is a professional. What we have, but I'm going to pin it like that. That print co-workers, and after that it's Sarah. So what it will going to do, it will going to show us is very professional. But we have, if we have very numbers of tons of arguments in a line or in a for a dictionary, so we want to have the display of each of the results. So it would be difficult by actually printing out the each argument separately. But what we're going to do, we're going to define a function, going to create a loop in which we're going to define the keywords and also the values to it. For example, in dictionaries, what we do, there are words and also the definitions. In Python, the words are being replaced by keywords, and the definitions are being replaced by replaced by values. So running a loop for K, standing for keywords, comma V, in the loop that we're going to define in co-workers. Okay, so after that we're going to end it, we're finding it by this and calling it by an items, obviously dot items, and after that this, and we're going to say that print K plus V, and now I'm going to run this, and let's see what will be the results. So this say Hassan is a writer, Sarah is a very professional. So instead of, I can have tons of information in this dictionary. So just pulling out the information by giving it the value, by assigning it a letter that is K, and also for the keywords and the V for the values, we can have all the information just pulled together. So this is how you create a dictionary in Python, and it's a very easy method. And right now I'm going to move towards some other concepts as well. Okay. Okay, now we're going to use the concept of modules. It is how we're going to use the modules, how it is applied by giving some of this. For example, if we define a function in a file, the file that has been defined as scratch py and dot py and scratch one dot py. So it's the Python files that normally are being named as such. You can actually rename the files as well by going to the specific you can go into the specific project, you're going to the files, and you can have it renamed as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to define a function, for example fish, and I put it and the colon, and I say print it's very tasty. And when I'm going to call that specific function fish and run it after a while, let's see what will be the results. So the result is fish it's very tasty. Okay, so now I'm going to discuss the same like that, where I have to create a module, because creating a module will help you. There are a number of modules all been defined in the Python, and you can actually extract, you can define by with the help of a module, you can define any number of functions in a file, and you can use that function in a file in any part of the program or your code. So what we're going to do, import fish. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to that's the import fish, and also I'm going to import it from the file that instead of because if I run it like this, fish, okay, just calling the function as it is, so what's the problem with going to rise? Let's see. It's saying in this, but I want to have it. It's very tasty. It's able to run. Okay, it's not an issue. But what I'm going to do, it's had imported fish directly imported from the other file and just put it like this. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to extract the file, and that would be scratch file. And now when I'm going to run the it's also able to run. And one I'm going the best practice is to put it in extract the scratch from, I'm doing it from like scratch dot fish. Okay, now I'm going to actually get the results. So what I'm going to show, it's very tasty. So that's our three types of you can extract directly by directly the function. You can directly you can import it by your file, and you can also show it by a number of ways. And the best practice is just to use it scratch.fish over, because the number because in a given file, if you just run directly the fish function, the fish function may be used in number of times in any other parts of the program. So that's the purpose, what file we want to extract and what function we want to use to be exact. So fish function can be used in any other file as well. So just to give the brief example, we want to have the uh, okay, and what I'm going to do, as we have discussed the module, what we have discussed is that instead of actually using the fish, you can use it 3 times. You can directly extract the information from the file and use it as such. Now, what we have, if there is some sort of a random number, and we want to have the how we can actually do that as well. We have number of set predefined modules, as I discussed in our actually in our file in any number of case. So what we're going to do, we're going to do some of some of, for example, import random. So that is a random module has been already defined. So import random, and when I'm going to do it, that for example x is equal to random okay, random range, and the range would be from 1 to 2000. To 1000, and we going, for example, that the main purpose is that there is a module with we're going to import the module random, and we have actually discussed the range from 1 to 100 by giving an x. The number of the random number would be actually is in the range of 1 to 1000. That would be stored in x, and when we're going to print x, how come it will show the results? So, and how we're going to show or display the results, let's see. uh, okay, it has to be defined in a way that it may be appropriate. Let's see if I do it like this. It's ran dot range, I believe. So it's not been actually showing what would be the exact function to be called in so that it can display the results. It has to be clear cut, because we have imported a random number. I want to actually use this in our coming example for the module. We know that modules can be accessed. Let me just let you know that how we can access the going to the file, going to the settings, and yeah, they're going to the settings, and in projects, yeah, it looks like the project interpreter interpreter. It will going to show you some couple of results, and from there you can extract as many setup tools, so you can easily build, install, and run Python packages. In those packages, you can actually install to use or install to install any package whatsoever. You can get the random package as well. Let me tell you as well how you can have the ran function, or let's see if it's possible to show you the results. Yeah, you have random tools, you have random tests, you have all that facts to be here. You can get as many results from there as possible. So these are the two tools you can use it. Random numbers, random as such, you can have the ability to use it, you can use it as such. So this is how we going to use the, you can install it and you can use it as you like, or where you like, to be exact. So the problem with this, how we going to resolve it, let's see if it's able to possible, because we have the basic logic is absolutely correct, but there's something missing that needs to be checked again, so that how we can, okay, it needs to be corrected like this. It has to be the function is random, in a module, because it's rand range. Okay, and the random range is given is from 1 to 1000. Okay, and we're going to print x, and now when we're going to run this, let's see how the results would be displayed. And yes, it's 428 like one time, it's 790 the other time, the 542 the other time. What it has done, it has actually imported a module with a random name, or you can say it's been a module has been defined as a random, and x is and all the details of a range from 1 to 1000, giving us as a random range in a function of random is stored in x, and when we're going to print x, it will display a random number from a range 1 to 1000. So it's like 542 one time, it can be any other number. So this is how you import. I have this shown you how you can use the function. You can use the settings, and you can get as many modules to be installed in your on Python, and use it accordingly. So what I'm going to do next, as I'm going to run a short bit of you can also actually delete all the details by in your console as well. So let me actually, yep, it's been cleared. So what I'm going to show you that it's how I'm going to use and any other I'm going to use the module. For example, I want to have the module or the example to be discussed. So what I'm going to discuss it will help you to actually make it give a more clear idea. Okay, how going to, for example, how you going to import an image or import an image from a URL. So that's we can do it. For example, import random. Okay, that's the module that's all been defined earlier in our example. Then we're going to import URL lib.request. I'm just requesting from the library of URL to actually give me the result of an image that I want to actually get from a given URL. So these are the two modules that all been defined. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to define a function download web image, okay, in a given URL, okay, colon, and that would then obviously I have discussed earlier that I want to actually give how we can actually generate a random number. So here, yes, we want to actually give the number, it's your URL, so it's the name that we want to actually give to that URL to be stored in our system. So name is equal to you can say URL plus, okay, it's a random, it's a random dot rand range, and that is from 1 to 1000. Okay, name random dot rand range 1 to 1000, and it will give us a number in between 1 to 1000, and I'm going to name, obviously the image has to be in JPEG, so the full name is equal to name plus okay, name is name into plus dot JPEG. Okay, and obviously one is a number, one is a string, so the Python will not actually, it's difficult for Python to actually add a string and a number. So what we can do, we can actually add the string, and then we're going to say that it's a number and now add it to .jpg, and when it's going to be done, yes, now it has been shown that 500 jpg, 600 jpg, any random number from the range. So when we going to say that it has been has been seen, has been actually declared. So what we're going to do, we're going to store the same name in our file as in our computer as well. So it would be print print full name and that so it will be done. Okay, so and afterwards we're going to say that download, calling the function would be like this: download web image, and that is to say download web image. And the URL is being defined, so we can define any URL whatsoever, and when we're going to run it, it will show it will store the image in our system. You can check it in the given system, you can cross check it, and when you're going to click it, the image will be displayed of any URL that you want to extract from. You have to copy the URL of the given image you want to actually extract. You want to go to the website, for example any website you have created by yourself, if you have, because what I'm not willing to do right now, I'm not willing to show the exact process. You can actually do it by yourself, because getting the URL of any company's website, if it's not possible, I'm not going to actually show it how it's going to say, how it will be done. You can do it by yourself by copying the URL and putting it in this way, and you can extract all the information whatsoever. Right now it's showing that the name is random dot range 1 to 1000. You can do it like that, put it that way that it can be possible, I believe so. You can this, and you can this as well, so it can the syntax is unexpected if you're while passing. So line number 10, it's okay, so is the error because of I have not called it properly. You have to call it by saying the number of the file, because you have to say it by download image URL, and also you going to have, you can actually go through the number of ways that how you can actually get it, but I'm going to show you the exact result. You can, if you have seen any problem, you can see you can check it by yourself, and let me know if it's some problem. Okay, and I'll discuss it as per your request. So that's why we can actually check it. Yes, you have, if you have done it, then that's perfectly okay. But I've just shown you how you can use the function, and you can import the module for a given for an image to be extracted from a web page. You can use the given module URL .lib .request, and in the download image, you can also in this image full time over, you can use it. For example, it will be the request would be like that. You it's URL lib request, and it's also URL retrieve. Okay, so when you're going to do it, you're going to put it in the full name. Okay, it has to be done like this. So what is it's going to retrieve the URL, and the request and the real the URL required, it's been actually put in, which is given the full name in our computer. So when you're going to extract that URL, it will going to run it, and you will not going to face any sort of the problem. Okay, so do let me know if you just have this function run, and if you face any problem, I'll just let you know how it's going to work it better. Okay, so this it's now going, the modules are the module section has been ended here, and you can apply any number of modules as per your requirement. You can check it in the Python as well. In the settings section, you can apply accordingly. You can, if you're more interested, you can have it as well. So right now this video is been ended, and I'm going to wait for your comments. I'm going to wait for your subscription as well, if you want to actually add me for more videos for any subject whatsoever. But right now, continuing, I'm just going to show you some of the other interesting concepts as well. Okay, so be in touch. Thank you very much.